Welcome to Season 3 of the Soundstage Audiophile Podcast. Last year, host Jorden Guth got a crash course in the fundamentals of hi-fi from enthusiasts, journalists, manufacturers, and music industry professionals alike. Those lessons will continue, but this year, Jorden will also get a history lesson from the legends who were there from the giddy-up and who made hi-fi what it is today. So with that out of the way, here's Jorden and this week's guest.
Hello and welcome to the Soundstage Audiophile Podcast. Today we are joined with Jan Lassesen, the founder and CEO of Arendal Sound, a high-end speaker company that was started with the idea of disrupting the status quo a little bit. And well, there's a lot to be talked about. Welcome, Jan. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And before we get into Arendal Sound and kind of your approach to the speaker company and all of that, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about your history. And I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff there. But maybe let's just start with the kind of moment, or if you have a memory of how you got into hi-fi audio or music in general, if you have that memory on hand.
Definitely. Yeah, my dad, all starts with my dad having his local shop, this traditional TV shop with the CRT TVs, color TVs, cassette players, satellite dishes, and so he started that in the 70s. I was born in 78. So when I was 6, 7, 8 years, I became a tech freak already, and I was a lot in his shop, walking around and having fun with his employees and stuff like this. And but the kind of I think it's all started with the good memories is Bang & Olufsen, these incredible designs and the level of the quality of their products back in the days in the 80s and the 90s, when they were revolutionizing how you could have a multi-channel in different rooms, multi-room systems, how it all connected. I was really intrigued by the whole operation, how they did it, because it was kind of one of the designs that was out of the world at that time. And I think that's kind of where it's kick-started. My dad always had some kind of audio stuff bringing back home. I was always waiting for some, when's dad coming in, is he having anything, if he had just a pack of batteries, I was, happy, just have, and so it just rolled out from there, being in his shop, seeing the good old ways, how they did it, which is definitely a long time since now. But yeah, I would say it started with the Bang & Olufsen, and then, they evolved more into hi-fi, products too. But yeah, I had my own systems since I maybe was 10, 12 years old. I made all my money myself, selling fish from my grandfather.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he had these, he was a fisherman, so every weekend I was pulled out, from the bed super early, and I was like always hearing from my dad, and my mom is like, your grandfather has a big catch. You have to help him selling it. So we were like doing a lot of the percentages. We had we had to get down the deal first. 25% of the catch I got.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so he got 75%. I feel bad now because he did all the work, but I get it all sold, so I could save up some money for the hi-fi equipment and stuff like this. So it's kind of been. I feel like I was born into it, so to speak.
Was this all happening in Arendal, Norway?
Definitely. So
okay.
Yeah, it's not a big city. It's a super small town. It's just like a summer city. It's you don't want to be there in November, January, and then expect Las Vegas, so to speak. It's like the opposite. Yeah.
Fair. All right. And that's kind of maybe setting the seed for a little bit later in our discussion when you start the hi-fi company. But before we get to the speaker company, Arendal Sound, growing up, you were kind of working for your grandfather, doing the fish stuff to save up money. And you also had your dad as the owner of the store. Did this influence you into what you like ended up taking at university or college? How did you get into that next chapter of your life?
I think that definitely impacted my path ongoing in my life. So the next steps were I studied 8 years electronics.
Wow.
Yeah, and I have a high school engineering grade in electronics. So my background is pretty much used into where we are dealing, where we're going into business right now. In 2005, I started something called L Sound. That was a company-based consumer direct back in the days. 2005, we were one of the few, if not the only one in Norway and in Scandinavia, doing that kind of concept. I truly believed in it, the benefits that it had. So L Sound was a company. We imported, distributed consumer direct throughout in Norway, Scandinavia, and then we expanded to the European countries. And we brought in unknown brands and also some part-known brands, kind of to build up their exposure and their foundation in this market.
And L Sound, was that primarily audio related, hi-fi related, or did that touch into the like TV, home theater, electronic stuff?
No, only audio. Okay. It's like we know. I personally know when I see a good picture. Yeah. I don't have any clue on what's behind it. It's just like whatever technology they're using. I don't have any clue. You could talk around me, for days. It's just we focused only on getting the best audio equipment for your money. That's kind of what we focused on.
Gotcha. And as L Sound started up, and that was going on for quite some time, what was kind of the feeling in the audio industry? Like, maybe I should ask, did you always have this idea that you were going to be starting a speaker company, or did that kind of come about after working a little bit more closely in the industry and distributing other companies' products?
It's been there for quite some time before L Sound. I have to admit, it has been like a dream, but I didn't take that as a realistic approach back in the days because it was too early. But I really had it, in terms of what I would love to do, the dreams that I had for my business. But when the time went, it's like when you become more and more skilled and the knowledge growing, your understanding of the market, what the customer needs, what's out there for the customer, what's kind of what do customer gets for the money. You grow your team, you grow your internal, in-house knowledge, so to speak. So you start to seeing where the gaps in the market are. It's just because the market is not perfect, and what you thought the market was, like this big, perfect kind of realm of great products, it has some big gaps, really big gaps, which kind of I would say people just take for what it is. They don't see other opportunities maybe in terms as from a customer point of view. So yeah, I mean, after we started L Sound in 2005, and in 2013-14, definitely we saw the opportunities to start something else.
Interesting. And as you're kind of working through L Sound and you're distributing other audio products, speakers and electronics and stuff like that, you start thinking about making your own speaker brand. Was that something that you kind of knew? Well, I don't know if the people that were distributing their products, if they'd be interested in being distributed by somebody that also has their own speaker brand. Did you know that you'd have to either kind of go all in on the speaker company, or were the brands potentially going to be okay with you selling their products, but then also offering a competitor with your own speaker brand?
Yeah, well, we were probably we were having a self-awareness in terms of where we were standing. So I just knew off the bat that if we do this, there will be some complaints, problems down the road. But when we took that decision, we didn't care
Gotcha.
because we were so confident in the decision that we were making. Because the thing is that when you start your own business, whatever that is, you have your own risk elements. You're the deciding factor. Do you have success or not? Yeah. You're not there's no other deciding factors than your own, how you run your business. But my problem and the company problem, the future of the company, L Sound at that time being, was that you were controlled by, like we say here, like new suits. Yeah. It's like there's ownership, changes of ownership. What you had on a good relation with one brand was like a new suit coming in, and it's like, who are you? And they, you had always this kind of relations changes, right? So we were a little bit fed up with it, we had brands that told us to do something. They never listened to us. We were doing like 24/7 operations for these individual brands. Yeah. And at the end, it's like, why do we even care helping these brands when they are not? At a certain point, we felt that we had more integrity of the brands that they self had. Yeah. So we were like, why are we doing it? Because we love doing this more than the new suits. Yeah. So that's where, we're fed up. We want to create our own speaker brand. We have the in-house know-how, the skill sets, the team. We know how to market, launch a new product to the market. So we were like, okay, the only downsides was obviously the investment. A ton of money went into it, and also the risk elements, obviously. But I was telling myself, if we fail, I can only blame myself without telling that it was someone else's fault. Yeah. Because I would live better with myself if it was on me, instead of being backstabbed or by political reasons from new suits coming in, so to speak. So we use that a lot. New suits coming in. It's so that's kind of the background of it. I wanted to do this for many years ago, and then we had all this experience with the different brands, and there's a lot of quality, big serious brands, and also small brands, which is super good. Yeah. But those big brands who had different mentality, different values than we had, that's kind of where the breaking point for us was to proceed with our own speaker brand. And obviously down the road, we knew that, okay, let's just keep the business as running, as usual with the different brands. And, there were a couple of brands that like, hey, we see you have your own brand. I think, it doesn't support our, goals and vision for your market. So I think we need to, part. And we knew it was coming, and that was okay with us.
We kind of talked about this a little bit when we were in Norway last week. By the time this airs, it's going to be a couple weeks. But it's interesting. Like, there's a lot of parallels there that I take from some of the brands that I've grown up with, not necessarily in electronics, but there was this bike company called FBM, which is an acronym for Fat Bald Men. And the idea is that these welders and these people that were so in love with BMX, the sport, were fed up with corporations basically dictating how things were made and cutting costs to get a product out to market that wasn't living up to what the people that were making it actually cared about. So when you call them the suits, I call them the FBMs, the fat bald men. Not that there's anything wrong with any of those things individually, but just kind of that concept of the people that are dictating kind of how you are operating as a business. So I totally relate to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's at the end of the day, whatever you sell, it comes down to the customer, what they get. That's kind of key number one for us. We don't care about, that's the foundation for any business. They are the one that paying your bills.
No.
That's done deal. And dictating something in the market, it's a bad way. I think the customers should, and they are in the rights to get what they should have for the money, and not be lured into vague marketing, or just because a brand has been there for decades, it doesn't mean that they should overcharge. And what we literally go out and say, don't get ripped off because you think it's a good value. You have to orient yourself just to get the best product. If it's not ours, at least get someone else's product, because there's a big variation in terms of quality and pricing. As we say here, is as the price goes up, it's like the product quality is linear, and the pricing is exponential.
Yeah, exactly.
So because in the high end world, especially when you get up in the price range, things get crazy. Get crazy. It's because we have a pretty good grasp on what things are costing and then we test when we're going out to shows, or we have the opportunity to listen to the speakers. We see what people are actually buying and paying for, and we know what it costs. And it's really beyond embarrassing, I would say, to see some brands are charging. Not all, but the higher you get in the price range, the more crazy it gets.
Yeah, and this is kind of the thing. Like, I've listened to very expensive speakers and been blown away. They sound absolutely incredible, and there's no doubt about that. And there's something to be said about the price for quality materials and all of this and all of that. But the gains that you're getting as you start getting into those $100,000 systems and up, the gains are very marginal. The gains of benefits start shrinking. So I could see that.
It's the same thing when I just take myself as an example. It's human minds, how they grasp the whole pricing quality level of things, because we all came out the same thing. Like, if it costs more, it has to be better.
Yep.
And that's our number one enemy, doing consumer direct and trying to make a difference in the market, that we try to really be lean on our distribution, consumer direct, saving tons of labor, shipping and everything for the customer. We are pricing our products as they should be, not because we think that the customer wants to pay for it, because that's the normal traditional marketing sales kind of concept, that you should charge your product, the value proposition, based on what the customer needs or what they want to pay.
What they're willing to pay.
What they're willing to pay, yes, thank you. So that's kind of, we know that's a long shot, and we need to go, this is a long investment for us so people really grasp it. We have been here now for 9 years. Next year we have a 10th year or anniversary, but people are starting to grasp it. The more this is indoctrinated, we want to, another 5 years, 10 years, whatever that is, long-term investment, we want them to be sure that when they come to us, they at least should get all worth of the money, what they pay for our products. And that is kind of, I see that myself, because when I'm buying a pair of jeans, I see, okay, $20 and $80. It's like, okay, I don't have time to, okay, I'll just take the one for $80. They are probably better. I walk into that trap myself, because the brain is working like that. It's all purchasing is 100% emotional based. And of course, you want to tell yourself that this speaker brand for $30,000 a pair is better than ours, $9,500 a pair. But the truth is, let's say it may be completely direction, in the other direction.
Yeah.
So it's a human fault, so to speak.
Maybe let's take it back just a tiny bit. So you're running Arendal Sound, you're doing the distribution company, you start working on kind of the speaker company, and what comes about is Arendal Sound. When you started, and you kind of already gave these hints about talking about consumer direct and stuff like that, but what were kind of these core things that you wanted to set up in a speaker brand that you didn't see in other speaker brands, or you thought you guys could improve on?
We thought that we could definitely improve on putting the value proposition in front of the customer. That's number one. We could also, we knew that we could make a big difference of how we did it. Consumer direct is nothing new, but in terms of premium speakers, it was one of the few back then. And it all started just to, how can we deliver the best service, the best product for the customer. And it's not all about price. It's all about getting to know the customer, getting to know them, to understand what they need. And how do we do that? They need to talk with us experts. That's the thing. Because one thing is this saving, whatever that is. That's kind of out of question in terms of our concept. The thing is that the most powerful thing is that the customer can speak with our experts directly from the company, the designers behind it, being a part of the product development, because we involve everyone in as much as you can in something we do of a product launch in a company. So the benefit is kind of that they can speak directly with us, and we support that with also 60 days buy and try. We have free shipping. We have even free shipping, return shipping in the US and Europe. We have upgrade programs. So everything is about getting the right product for the customer, not necessarily of what they are willing to pay. So there's a lot of cases that we are downselling ourselves, so we know that the customer gets the right product, because we need to make sure that the customer interest is protected. And also, if we just oversell them stuff, we get that things in return too, because they can easily, with a snap with the finger, it's like, this speaker doesn't fit my room, or they are too big, or whatever, So it's kind of that's kind of the thing that we hope that the customer over time can see what risks we are putting on ourselves by offering these benefits, and then that we're trying to make a difference in terms of product, but definitely the customer support. We are investing in a company. We are investing about 70% of the HR resources for the customer support related positions. So I think it's just a matter of the mentality and the values we want to bring in, by integrity, both on the product, but also that they can trust us when they contact us. I think that relationship is so extremely important. When you do have traditional distribution, you have the brand, you have the importer of the country, and then you have sub-dealers, retailers. When as a brand, how can that brand be sure that our products are and the customers are taking responsibilities of what the customer wants to, what they want to achieve? Yeah. How can you protect the customer's interest by being the third or the fourth level of it? Yeah. You likely won't hear anything, but let's say if you did, it will be in the next quarter report. We can fix that in 2 minutes or in the same day. That if there's a problem, we will fix it no matter. And that's kind of the mentality that we indoctrinate into the market. It takes longer time to get the growth and the revenue, but that's not important for us. We just want to have super fun, create great experience for the customers. And of course, we need to make money to invest more in products such as the newly launched in October 1, the 1528, Yeah. So we need to the customer needs to be taken care of 5 years down the road, 10 years, 20 years down the road, and we will be here to, be strong and help them but at the same time, be delivering something different. So we're taking the responsibility for the customer. That's kind of where we stand, and that's what we try to make a difference on.
Yeah, a saying that I've heard very recently, I think it was on the Norway trip, which is trust is good, control is better. And how I think about what you were just describing there, the trusting that the distributor, the retailers, the staff of those retailers are going to be knowledgeable and speak of your brand in a positive light and recommend your brand and be able to service your brand. That's all trust. And there might be really great retailers and really great employees at all these places, but there's likely going to be some that are either not aware of your brand or not aware of all the things. So having that control and being able to do it directly kind of gives you a leg up in that sense.
Definitely. We feel the control. We want to take the control, not based on taking control of the customer, but taking the control of the path throughout the customer journey.
Yeah.
For us, it's everything. When we speak about marketing, product, whatever that is, in when we have team meetings, it's the customer. It's just like Jeff Bezos has a open chair in his board meeting, is because that's kind of where the customer sits. It's like
interesting.
That's kind of how we approach this. If it's not good for the customer, we ditch the idea. If it improves and enhances their experience, we'll look into it. So it's kind of the experience starts from when they see the first ad, or they come to the website, they look around, and then and it really escalates when they contact us. We have like a 15, I think it's a 15 SLA on 15 minutes.
Yep. Service level agreement for response times. Yep.
15 minutes. So we are like hammering. We are on the minute. That it may take an hour. It may take two, but that's where within our ticket hours. So it's like when they come into us, it's like if they speak, they can even do a video conference with the customer, with the customer support. That's kind of the experience part. And then when we made a sale, or if they made the purchase, we find the right product. We ship the products, and also when they get the unboxing, the experience, the ownership feeling when they really unbox the product. But we think that's all nice and dandy throughout that process. But the thing is that when you have a problem, either with shipping, which is out of our own control, so to speak. We would love to have our own shipping company, but unfortunately, that's just for the big dreams. But when they have a problem, I think that's kind of how you also differentiate yourself with competition. There's a lot of great companies out there, but we get motivated when we hear all about the bad stories about a dealer, and then they need to get the parts, and then 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 2 months after, then they get their subwoofer, the speakers up and running again. Yeah. With us, if you call us, I have a problem, whatever that is, we don't ask questions other than just finding out what it is. We ship them a new part. They maybe have the up and running the day after, maybe within 3 or 4 days at maximum, when you can have your stuff up and running again. And when we bring in the old part at our cost and everything, so they just need to use a screwdriver, maybe 5 screws, do the swap in 5 to 10 minutes, and then up and running, instead of having this. Because for audio lovers, audio like menu, it's like
audio files,
audio files. It's like just if you bought a new Porsche, it's like when, and then you had to get that to the service, and then not to bash anything, but okay, let me use my own example. I have a Skoda. It's like, It's just like a low-priced, decent car, but, when you buy a Porsche, you don't want a Skoda. You just want that Porsche right away. So that's kind of what we want them to have, like, you need to fill the gap, close the gap of the servicing. I think that's one of the keys for where we stand today in the market, in terms of making a difference, in terms of helping people out, not only to choose the product, but also when they have a problem, so to speak.
service them and take care of them.
Yep.
All right. So with that, let's go for a quick little musical interlude. And when we come back, I'm going to ask not as much about the company, but more about the product range and what you guys started with and where you are now, because I think there's an interesting evolution there. So let's take a quick little musical break and we will be right back. Welcome back to the Soundstage Audiophile Podcast. We are here with Jan from Arendal Sound. And before the break, we kind of talked about your kind of journey getting into audio, starting the company and all that. For the second half, let's just start with, you started this company, you have these beliefs. What is that first product that you launch with? And how do you even get the name of your company out? Like, did you already have connections that you were going to be utilizing to start getting in front of customers? As an online business primarily, how does that work when you're going direct to consumers and consumers don't even know about you at all?
Good question. And I would say it's tough to answer, but the thing that it all starts on your network, business is all about the people and your gained relations throughout all the years. Obviously, we had a lot of business relations, but we had thousands of customers.
Oh, interesting.
We had tens of thousands of customers being kind of our true fans or true followers, I would say. Not fans, but followers. Yeah. And so we had a pretty good network when we started all this. We knew our customers. We knew our customer avatar, that we knew who to target. We knew what they wanted, So the first product that we launched was something that we have in traditional product naming. People are asking us all the time, why all this product naming, and we call it the 1723. Okay. The first product line. And that was kind of the first year or the year then Arendal had city status.
Oh, interesting. So 1723 is when Arendal became a city.
Correct. And then the thing was kind of, we thought, okay, we like to have storytelling of everything that we tend to do, right? So it's not like just taking something from the air and then go with it. So we thought that was everything that started for the town, and then we thought, okay, why not? That's the starting point for us too, where everything started. So that's kind of where 17 came out, and we wanted to start in the premium segment of the speaker range, even though it may not be the premium segment in the price range, what people were, are used to putting in as a premium. But again, we could deliver direct. So obviously we could have a better value proposition for the customer. So it was important for us to kind of over-deliver, we had to. There's a lot of thousands of speaker brands out there, especially in Europe, in Scandinavia, in Denmark, there's like tons of it. Yeah. And so how could we had our knowledge, we had the skills, we had the network, we had all the business arrangements. So, and then we thought, okay, how can we, cut through the noise in the market? So that was kind of an interesting part of it, because my media specialist, he was, we talked about, calling it Arendal.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, now, it's that's going to be too close. It's just like it's uncomfortable being with it. It's like, so it was too close, so to speak. I was like uncomfortable at the time being. And I was like, we were like going wild with something insanely calling B sound. Don't even asking me questions why we went down the road. We had all the profile, media kits and everything. It was like, and then suddenly I was with my family, with my two boys, Leander and Marcus, and my wife, Heidi. We were in a local cafeteria.
Yeah.
And we were in, and that they have like local, like traditional, a wall and decor and everything. Yeah. And I was sitting there and seeing like this traditional old school kind of thing that you had skis on the wall, old wooden skis and all this. I was like, yeah, it was just like, that's the moment I said, we have to be proud of where we come from. We have to, use, the local values, the nature. We use the polar bear behind me as the mascot of the company. We have to kind of use those elements to maybe stand out from just being a product on an ad with a piano on,
Yep.
You have seen that, and a glass of wine, and then, you have seen that tens of thousands of times. So we have the mentality and having fun by standing out and do, marketing stuff, which is maybe not the traditional way. So
a little bit more authentic than some other brands out there.
That's kind of what we tried, kind of to do the same, being authentic, transparent, being honest, and lots of integrity into it. So yeah, it started out with 17.3. We wanted to over deliver, built like a tank, the quality, the paint finish, all the details, rhodium plated copper connectors, no brass, faking things out. That's where it started, dynamics, the sound experience, the sound, how you kind of, it was a product line when the first feedbacks when we launched 17.3 was kind of that it was all about the experience when they had it, when they listened to the speakers. We had customers replacing big speakers, Adam Audio, Wilson, stuff like this. And it's not like they reported that ours was better, like details and everything, but it's all about the experience, the dynamics, the lifelike experience of how they listen to music and watching movies and stuff like this. So it became a really good hit from the start off. And we launched it in 2015. That was the first product line. And then the subwoofers came at the time being.
And were those tower speakers to launch, or was it towers and bookshelves?
Yeah, the whole range. So we had the towers, we had the center. It was a surround. That's kind of, and the monitor.
Yep.
And some fewer years down, 2 or 3 years, we launched what's called 1723 S.
Okay.
So that's kind of downscaled in size. So S for small or smaller, because it's still big. You guys did the Tower S a while back, and so that's kind of was to kind of deliver a smaller package with same quality aspects, the same. They just wanted a smaller package. So it started all with 1723.
And when you launched that, you were already kind of mentioning this, that right off the bat, you were getting some good feedback from folks that were either buying into hi-fi for the first time or changing their other systems. Were you primarily targeted towards hi-fi, or was this home theater as well? Because you did mention surround. I know that, and I don't know if the original speakers were THX certified, but the new ones are. Were you going after the hi-fi market primarily or secondary, or was there more appetite from those home theater folks that kind of had you going to the surround? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. We made a mistake too. I can get back to on it. So it was equally leveled out.
Okay.
There's two things that because out of the design, it was designed purely based on hi-fi capabilities, critical listening. That's kind of where we designed it. Then we, from our earlier experience with Arendal Sound, the product and the customer avatar, we also had a strong presence in the home theater realm, so to speak, the customer category. So what we did is that we called, we did get the THX Ultra license certified. It was, according to THX, it was the first product line that just passed through on the first attempt without a single change, which was pretty cool. So the 710-3 is a THX certified product, but people do misunderstand the whole concept of THX. They think, it's tuned to home theater.
Yeah.
And you have these more critical listeners of hi-fi. If you say something about THX, they are like, it's not for me. So it's just THX is just 400 parameters or tests that they go through. Distortions levels and SPL capabilities and so forth. So it's only a quality aspect, so to speak, but it can be misunderstood by a lot of customers. And by going back with what I meant by us making a mistake is that we didn't communicate what this product was really all about. We let the customer decide on themselves on what they wanted, what kind of product they wanted, what they want to use it for, and then make the decision based on that, which worked fine. But the question is still out there. Is 710-3 for home theater customers or hi-fi? So it's a good question. But the last thing is that when you have a center channel, you have a surround channels. People also say, it's a home theater package. It's just like the offering, like we offer the solution in both camps, so to speak. So it's definitely for both camps, and it does as good for one as the other.
So that might be some of my own just kind of lack of understanding of why THX matters, or the kind of THX branding. And to your point, whether it's for either home theater or whether audiophiles can also benefit from speakers with that branding. So when we're talking about the speakers, and maybe I didn't really touch on this, I kind of already know the answer because I met one of the gentlemen that's responsible for this, but were these speakers primarily designed in-house by you and your team? Or was this kind of an off-the-shelf, I'm going to order this from a factory and just kind of put the Arendal badging on it?
Absolutely not. When we do things, we do it properly. That's with everything in the company. I'm pretty particular about it. And we knew that we couldn't just take an off-the-shelf product and just assemble it in a given cabinet of our choosing and then think that we could get away from it. 100% of the products is designed by us in-house. Tweeter, the woofers, crossovers, all the tunings are done based on our customization. So yes, that's kind of there's no off the shelf with any of our products.
Okay, and when you released this line, the 1723, how long until you started saying, well, what's coming next?
It went a couple of we had the kind of portfolio down the road, but it took 2 or 3 years when we launched this S series, and then another couple of years when we had the 9061 product line. It was just in general just trying to downscale even further in a really small package for people with smaller spaces. That's kind of what it was. So
you started with the 1723. You then released the S series, which was smaller, and then the next range. What was the next range after the 1723S?
That was 1961, and again, we just to kind of explain the model convention is that 1961 was the year that the bridge between the island where I live, called Tromøy, and the mainland, that was kind of, so we called the analogy in terms of bridging premium products to the islanders, so to speak. So that's kind of where we kind of use that. And the purpose of 961 was kind of to try to trickle down the 1723 performance, the quality of what it was popular for, in a much small package, really for use in smaller apartments, so to speak. So that's kind of just a trickle down, and then a lot of the similarities, the build quality. Even for that product line, we used extensive quality level as we did with the 710-3. HGF cabinet, real paint, in-house tuning, in-house customized the parts and everything. So the main point and the main purpose was kind of just downscale to deliver the same package, so to speak, just in a small package and also a lower price point.
And that was around 2018, 2019, somewhere around there?
Correct. And we also received an ISA award for it. Yeah. That was the second one. We got also an ISA award for the 1723 S series. So they both were highly acclaimed by reviewers and customers worldwide.
So now the newest series that just launched in October of 2024, what's the idea behind this new line? Which is, by the way, I'll say this is kind of when I first learned about Arendal Sound, and we've now reviewed these new speakers and all that stuff, but that really kind of kicked off our awareness of you guys. So let's hear a little bit about that. Like, what after this 1961 series, what came next, and why was that a standout?
Yeah, then the next product line we had planned for 2 or 3 years. It went into development for 2 years, and that was 1528. That is actually the year that Arendal was first mentioned in official documents. Okay. So you probably have heard about Arendal through Frost, and that's where it comes from. Okay. The story goes, that the foreigners were stealing quality timber, through the harbor, through ships, and bringing it back home, through boats or ships, and the story goes that when the king was made aware of it, he made a quick stop to it and had taxes and everything on it. So I would say, the 1528 is a kind of a dedication to excellent craftsmanship, bridging the story of quality timber to quality speakers. That's kind of where we're going with this, because they wanted the quality of local resources. I mean, the purpose with 1528 was to make a statement and kind of a movement against overpriced flagship products in the market. Again, going back to this linear quality level with the craziness of the price level of them. So, I mean, we are kind of taking this fight for the customer, and so to speak, as our internal, taking the internal fight upon the market, upon the customer in terms of we don't like, and we really hate when people are being overcharged and ripped off. I have to be honest that this is kind of a strong goal for us to make a difference in the market. Again, I'm not telling that all the brands out there are doing it, but we see a lot of it. And I think that we can make a difference on it. I mean, we knew that we could make a difference with an excellent product, backed by our world-class customer support, talking with the experts, and through our proven consumer direct model, even for heavy premium products.
So before these got launched, you sent a pair to Doug Schneider for review. So we took them. Soundstage takes every speaker, or I think every speaker, pretty much every speaker that comes in for review to the anechoic chamber in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, to get kind of tested. And these 1528s, Doug asked me to kind of help out. So me and his son lifted this thing up and put it in the center of this chamber. It was so heavy. We were both there, and we put it on a piece of plywood to make sure that the base was going to work on the stand and all this stuff. And we were worried about this plywood breaking. And then we were worried about if we could actually measure this, and if we had to turn it upside down. And then there's a downfiring port, so we couldn't turn it upside down because it would mess with the measurements and all this other stuff. These things are heavy. So the fact that, and I think Doug mentioned this, the fact that you're doing direct to consumer at this high of quality, but also this weight, like these two of these speakers on a skid are probably close to 400 pounds or whatever that is, 180, 190 kilos, somewhere around that. That is something that Doug hasn't seen before. And the more that I kind of mention this to other people in the industry, it doesn't seem like a lot of people have seen this before at that kind of scale. So I think there's something really interesting there.
Yeah, I mean, we have done this for almost 2 decades, consumer direct. And obviously, these are one of the bigger, most heaviest speakers that we have done consumer direct, obviously. But it's a lot about fine-tuning, how the packaging goes, because you want to avoid transportation damage. And also, obviously, when you think about, for most countries outside Europe and US, we are doing express with DHL. So in the US, we are doing FedEx on ground, on pallet, which is pretty secure. And then also we're doing DHL for Europe and Canada. And there's a lot of fine tuning in terms of both how you experience and how your knowledge is, how you're going to pack, how to protect the product, how you're going to ship it, which carrier you're going to use, but also the price level of shipping without a good account is incredible high. That would cost thousands of dollars to place that pallet in front of your house. But the good thing is that we have been using DHL and our carriers for a long time, many, many years. So we have gathered a good price agreement with them, which makes not that we make more profits out of it, but we give that opportunity and that benefit again to the customer, because those speakers cost $9,500, including shipping, 400 pounds delivered to your doorstep. And it still costs us a lot of money within that price tag, obviously, but it would cost it would not be possible just to go, I'm going to have a startup. Let's bring 400 pounds to anyone in the world. It would not be possible of 9,500, so to speak. So it's a good thing that we have an edge on it.
That's part of the secret sauce that makes this all happen. Yeah. Well, I know we're kind of getting close to the end of the time, and there's a million more things that we can kind of talk about in terms of the industry, in terms of the products that you offer and the development and all that. And we'll probably end up getting another podcast where we go more into the technical elements and all of that. But I guess to kind of end this off, if you were sitting down and listening to these speakers, either the 1528 towers or whatever your system is at home, maybe give us a little insight into what speakers you actually set up at home. But what would you sit down and listen to? What would be the kind of soundtrack to your life? What songs were you inspired by as you were making these speakers to say, like, I want these to sound just incredible for everyone else to hear this song or these soundtracks, whatever it may be, through the Arendal speakers?
First of all, I have a 17.3 system myself. I haven't got my hands on yet on the 1528. I hope it will be soon. But by the way, we have sold out we outsold the towers.
The 1528 towers.
The 1528 towers. So it seems like I won't get the towers just yet.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but the most important for us is kind of when you do the unboxing, when you connect the speakers, you have to have more or less an instant experience of what you're dealing with. If you have to use 3 weeks of finding out if this is a product for you or not, we have not reached our goal. We have to over-deliver by instantly. So it's based on having a refined speaker, obviously, but it has to have the power capabilities, the dynamics for low volumes, but also for high volumes to gain and keep the consistency of the dynamics. That's kind of the whole thing with the experience part. Obviously, when you, I think it's just a matter of, because people have different definitions of how they experience a good speaker. But I think that when you are grabbed in the moment, when you lose track of time, I think that's where you know you have a good speaker going. Because we get this feedback often, like, I have never listened to so much my music collection so much until I got your speakers. And that's pretty good statement of an answer to your question, I think. And so, yeah, I think it's just a matter of because music is about experience. Yeah. You're listening, enjoyment of this, not listening to the defaults and finding problems of your system, because that's a lot. Many does it, right? They are looking for more of the problems than finding, appreciating the experience. Yeah, the enjoyment. I would just say that when you sit down and listen to the 1528, it's the impactful that you have the instruments in front of you, the singer in front of you. You're into the shooting battle or whatever that is in a movie, and I think it's just that it just grabs you into the scene. I think that's just kind of how I can just explain it. I think that's kind of what we believe what a sound experience is.
And what song would you put on, or what movie would you put on that's the soundtrack to your own life for pure enjoyment?
Well, first, when we test the speakers, we do an extreme SPL test, and I normally use Infected Mushroom. Have you heard it? Yeah, it's no, that's electronic music. It's a ton of dynamics. It's a ton of good sound quality. It's a lot of bass. It really tests your capability of the system. If I sit down, I want to wind down after work or whatever that is. That I am having a really wide bandwidth of music, but I like Mark Knopfler and Michael Bublé, for example. I can wind down with that. I can listen to hip hop. I can listen to electronic music. I can go all the way. But if I want to wind down, I think that Michael Bublé is probably taking the longest one.
Oh, there you go. I'm going to add it to my playlist and get on with some Infected Mushroom and Bublé later today.
Yeah, you will see the capabilities of the system when you play Infected Mushroom.
There we go. Awesome. Jan, thank you so much for taking the time. For anyone out there that is looking to kind of learn more about Arendal, obviously visit your website, Arendal Sound. Was there anything else, anywhere else that you direct people to kind of learn more?
No. Well, yes and no. I would like people to join in if they have the interest for this for audio, is that they visit our club, club.arendalsound.com, where they can meet other enthusiasts. It's a different platform than just a traditional forum. That's kind of where we try to engage and meet up with the customers. There will definitely be a lot of cool stuff happening in the future there. So I would definitely, the website, yes, but also the club to register. And then we will have some awesome things coming along there.
Thank you so much, Jan, and all the best.
Thank you. You too.